Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome. This is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show, and I am Illuminati. Welcome. As always, live every Thursday evening right here on YouTube, 7 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Sharp, right? It's always me, you, he, or Henny. This evening, I am having some Henny VSOP, chilled. I don't know if you could see the frost. Chilled. Just because I personally find it makes it a little bit smoother, a little bit more enjoyable. You don't need as much ice. Your ice doesn't melt as fast. And it just brings out all the flavors in a way that, I truly enjoy. So, it's Thursday in the Lord's month of September of the Lord's year 2024. And it has been already a bit of a rough month for us here in this cryptic world of cryptocurrency. And every year we are reminded as to why it is referred to as REKTEMBER, right? And, even though we are often disappointed by the happenings in REKTEMBER, the satisfaction that we can take from it is that REKTEMBER usually gives way to October, and we can warm ourselves by the crypto fires in anticipation of that event. Why REKTEMBER is just a name that has been attributed to September, since somehow, historically, September has been a bad month for the crypto market. Many of our investors, many of our family, many of our friends, many of our foes end up wrecked. REKT, not to be confused with WRECKED, because we in crypto, so we don't do nothing right. Right? We are rebels. So historically, September, not so great a year for crypto and Bitcoin. And historically, October generally has a lot more positive sentiment as it relates to the crypto market. Before we jump into things, I know I sped past something very important, so I'm gonna backtrack, do some housekeeping, wash my wares a little bit, and remind you guys that despite what we discuss here on a weekly basis, this is not a financial advisory podcast. I am not a financial advisor, so nothing that I share here today, last week, next week should be misconstrued as financial advice. It's all about the ICE rule: information, conversation, education. Yeah, so jumping straight back into it, September, historically, a very, very bad month for Bitcoin. In 2019, Bitcoin fell 13%. In September in 2021, we saw a 7% correction in the Bitcoin market, even though we were coming off of a very, very bullish summer. But even in the midst of that bullish summer, we saw a price correction. And, there are some macroeconomic factors that contributed. Obviously, end of quarter sell-offs. We have people looking to harvest some tax losses. So most investors take their losses in September to offset the capital gains, which increases sell pressure, of course. September is the end of Q3, and in some spaces, the end of a lot of people's financial year. So we see people trying to what is the right word? Regulate their portfolio around that particular period. And I think just generally, the historical experience makes people a lot more wary during this particular period. And anything that goes wrong during this period tends to trigger people to seek some haven. And it's not a fad. It's not a name that is attributed to September just from mild panic, as the case may be. But the fact is, from 2013 to 2023, Bitcoin has closed in the red for 8 out of 11 months of September, right? With the average loss of 4.78% during the month. So it's not just speculation. The numbers tend to back it up, with losses ranging from 1.76% to 19%. So I guess I could see why people have the perception that September is a jinxed month. And then conversely, we see in October, 9 out of the past 11 Octobers have closed in the green. So, and an average return during the month of October of 22.9%. So you see, average loss of 4.78% in September. 1 month later, October, average return of 22.9%. So what does that tell you? Maybe you need to be selling in August, looking to load back up in September, and looking to maybe take some profits in October. But again, we don't give financial advice here. We just talk things, right? So what are some of the other factors that have impacted this September specifically? We continue to see sell pressure from various entities who have harvested some Bitcoin from their citizens. We won't call any names. Of course, the level of uncertainty in the US financial markets because of the election coming up in November. Obviously, we have quarterly closes. Like I said before, we have quarterly closes representing earnings reports and stuff like that, especially in the tech sector. We have launches of new products, and depending on how those things go, if they are underwhelming, the market tends to follow that. And I'm talking about the traditional market here, and we tend to be more aligned in the traditional market with tech stocks. So that oftentimes brings some negative sentiment as we follow those stocks. Obviously, the jobs report has not been great. Obviously, inflation continues to be a significant concern. And while we continue to see more and more inflows kind of picking up over the last couple of days in the ETF market, it has been a consistent period of increased outflows from the ETFs. So obviously, ETFs and the traditional space was expected to bring a little bit more stability. But what we are seeing, especially in the initial months, the initial year of the ETF's existence, some of the fears, concerns, volatility that we have become accustomed to in the crypto space have followed the ETFs. So these ETFs being produced and backed by some of the biggest names in the traditional financial space have not made them immune to the emotional impact of the markets. As it relates to October, like I said, people get out for September. and then they're looking to recover, start their new financial year over, get themselves ready, positioned as the market in their mind starts to pick back up. Obviously, we operate in a space that is very, very influential on people's emotions. So obviously the psychological and market sentiments tend to shift based on, the most fickle things. And, when people have developed a superstition around a particular period, I think their actions tend to confirm their biases around that. So people think that September is a jinx month. So their actions throughout that month is going to help reinforce that position. And as more and more people do that, the market sentiment shifts, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the same thing with October. The more people believe that October is going to be a better month, the more you see people coming into the market, the more the market price starts to be impacted in a positive way. And then again, a self-fulfilling prophecy. We are seeing bullishness in October. Will it happen this 2024 October? I mean, it could be an outlier year, but I think there are still a lot of questions overhead as it relates to the US elections. Who will be better for the US economy? Who will be better for the markets? Is it Vice President Harris? Is it former President Donald Trump? And what do the American people start feeling about their economy as we get deeper into November? And then even after November, what is going to be the reaction following a Harris win or a Trump win, all the way to inauguration? I think we're in for a very, very hectic last quarter of the year. I think we're going to see a lot of volatility. A lot of longs are going to be wrecked. A lot of shorts are going to be wrecked. But I think ultimately, on the other side of that, we're going to see Bitcoin doing some special things, as Bitcoin always does. I mean, in 2021, in October 2021, we saw Bitcoin surge by 40%, reaching all-time highs in November of 2021. Can we look forward to seeing something like that? Maybe not this year, but for October 2025, is that going to be the top of the this particular cycle? Are we going to see a pullback early next year as we start warming up towards the obvious blow off top in this cycle? Again, none of us have a crystal ball. I am not Miss Cleo, but we can only look at what we have seen previously. Follow the charts, follow the trends, pay attention in all the groups, pay attention on crypto Twitter, because oftentimes the emotions that we see in these groups in crypto Twitter, the sentiment that we see is it ultimately reflected in the charts. I think charts and tracking charts and doing TA is important to an extent, but I think that charts just represent what the general market sentiment is. So for me, I always try to watch what the sentiment looks like before it hits the charts. But it takes a lot of time, energy, and not everybody has that. So as always, do your own research. Again, don't invest more than you can afford to lose. This is not a game. This is not a casino, despite the fact that a lot of people treat it that way. There are a lot of benefits to be derived in this crypto space if you start paying attention, if you start educating yourself, if you start seeking the information. And as I always say, everybody's situation is different. So what might work for me may not work for you. My goals might be more long term, while yours might be more shorter term. So even if you have somebody who's very, very close to you, take their advice with, I don't want to say a grain of salt, but make sure it's applicable to yourself. Make sure you're assessing your risk appetite. Make sure you're assessing your time horizons. Make sure you're assessing your goals against the decisions you make. And good luck out there. I mean, for me, I think crypto is the future. I say it every single week. I've said it for the last 4 years plus. Adoption is inevitable, especially for us right here in the Caribbean. So don't sit on the sidelines. Even though you might not be in a position to get in the game just yet, get on the bench. You understand? Start reading, start educating yourself, start watching the charts, start learning the plays, and start with a smaller amount, testing the market, whether it's $1, $2, $5, whatever is the case, until you develop the confidence in your ability and trust in the market. I know that a lot of things are coming, especially for us Caribbean people, to be able to gain some exposure to this space, to gain some knowledge around this space, and I'm very, very excited for that. I'm hoping that some of the things that I'm hearing buzzing about in this space see fruition by January, February next year, and we could start seeing people being able to participate in this space in a way that allows us as a region not to fall behind. Yeah. Big up my boy Stephen, as always. I know if nobody else shows up, Stephen is here, and we're gonna have a damn good time. So guys, September, we are the 12th officially. We have 2.5 weeks or so left. Do we close in the red? Do we close in the green? Where does September or REKTEMBER leave us? What can we expect for October? Are you ready? Is your portfolio ready? What are you looking at? Are you only playing in Bitcoin? Are you playing only in large cap alts? Are you memeing it out? Are you in the small cap alts? What projects are you looking at? Drop a comment. Let me know which projects you want me to take a look at. And let's have a conversation, man. This is what this is about. Like I said, I share with you, you share with me, and on the other side of that, we all end up a little bit better off. So, with all that said, guys, see you next week. Adoption is what? Inevitable. Cheers. Illuminati out. Be blessed, guys.